So we've tried to talk about some of the aspects that we think the community will find really exciting, but while you're both here, I'd love to know, what is it about Cyberpunk that you guys are really excited for? Patrick, why don't you start?
So one of the things that I'm most excited about in this game is the characters and the way they interact with the world. We've got this really interesting world that stretches all the way back to the Cyberpunk 2020 source material and all of these events and all of those things, but those don't mean anything unless they connect with characters. And so when we come up with a character, we start with their function. What is this person? What do they do in the story? But we don't stop there. We go back and we figure out, what was their childhood like? What was their upbringing like? What kind of obstacles did they face in this harsh reality, and did they overcome them? And how did they overcome them, or did they not overcome them, and why? And you can see all of those things in their environment, in their dialogues, in sort of how they operate in the world. And we come up with that for all of our characters. Now you look at someone like Victor Vector, and you're gonna see stories about his past in his environment and in his dialogue. We come up with that stuff even if we don't use it in the game, because it helps inform us as to who these characters are.
And for me, I would not be myself if I would not say that I'm the most excited about our quests. Like with our Witcher 3 team, with Patrick and like everybody that has stayed with us since the Witcher 3 time, we really have grown so much. We have learned so much, and we have used all that experience to put them into the quest that we have made. And you will not find really a filler in this game. Like everything has a meaning. Like we put so much effort into making sure that everything is rewarding, is interesting, is talking about characters, as Patrick said, is talking about worlds, is talking about emotions, like touching the player in a really, like a real way. And I just can't wait to find out what you think.
Pavel, I know you mentioned story and quests and writing quests, and when I was last in the studio, I had a look and I saw a notebook on your desk, and I would love for you to show everybody this notebook.
Okay, Holly, I mean, you asked for it. So this is my notebook. It says Salsa Quest Designer. The reason is because I dance salsa, and I'm a quest designer, so you know. So I started this notebook actually when we were really starting Cyberpunk. At the very beginning, I wrote like a first note, and it says pretty much something along the lines of that we were starting with a prototype. And then, I kept on basically noting things that we've been working on for like next years. I remember once when our concept artists actually approached me, and they said that they want to take a look on my notebook. I was like, what for actually? And they took some pictures, and they told me, yeah, well, because we are looking for a reference material for notes of a psychopathic killer. Yeah, well, you may find maybe some of my notes in the game.
Pavel and Patrick, thank you so much for joining me. I'm pretty lucky because I have read some of the stories that you and the team have written for Braindance, and I'm pretty excited for people to discover them. But before we do finish today's episode, there is just one more thing we'd like to talk about. Earlier in this episode, I mentioned that media have been getting hands-on with the opening of Cyberpunk 2077, and they should be posting their impressions right about now. And if you missed anything from today's episode, don't worry, we'll be uploading everything to our channels very soon. And finally, on behalf of everybody at CD Projekt Red, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us for this, the very first episode of Night City Wire. But don't worry, we'll be back with episode 2 in just a few weeks. So, we shall see you soon.